We've never hidden the fact of the tax scheme, the remuneration trust. It's been in our accounts every year, so it's not been avoided. It's been there for everybody to see.
So why now have the tax authorities decided it's offside?
They're trying to sweep up as much tax as possible. We've got our QC, whose opinion is we have a strong case. I mean, this has not just happened overnight, Jeff. This has been going on for 10 years. What I find concerning, and one has to do sub judice, I have to watch what I'm saying here, is Rangers have come under the spotlight more than ever. I think they wanted a high-profile case. It's not quite the same if it's a concrete company and Crew or something. They want a high-profile case. And we've fought this vehemently, because we don't think, through our advice, we've done as wrong as they think we have.
As you know, obviously tax avoidance is legal, tax evasion illegal.
Yeah.
If HMRC wins this case,
yes,
you will be branded a tax evader.
Well, we'll have to wait and see the outcome, but our opinion is that we have a very strong case, and I've said that thing. But when you say that, if you were a tax evader, and I'm not saying we are, people don't tend to put it in their accounts every year. We believe we had a legitimate scheme, we never hid the fact, and we believe it was set up. It was non-contractual, it was discretionary, so we believe we've worked the rules. I think you'll find there'll be many lawyers, many accountants, many bankers, many architects, many surveyors, many financial companies are running similar schemes and are watching on the outcome of this.
So, David, there have been allegations in the Scottish media that you were running a dual contract system at Rangers, those that the tax authorities could see, and some dodgy contracts under the desk. True?
There's categorically no truth in that whatsoever. We've made it clear that we ran an EBT scheme, which was in the accounts every year for 10 years, signed off by our auditors, Grant Thornton. Out with that, there was only one player's contract. Hugh Adam, who's made these accusations, was not even on board when we did the EBT schemes. There was a couple of small ones at the end called the small tax case, but for him to endeavour, because he's off the board for all this amount of time, all of a sudden his memory gets jigged at 12 years after he's left and can tell us that things were going on. There's categorically no two contracts running at Rangers.
There are two groups there, fans and shareholders. Looking back, at what point do you feel that you let them down?
On the sale of the club. I don't think I genuinely... I've made mistakes with players and people like that, but I think if you want to use the question, have I let them down, I've let them down who I passed the ownership of the club to.
Finally, David, look into your crystal ball, 5 years down the line. Where will Rangers Football Club be?
I would sincerely hope exactly where it's been for the last 100-odd years, 140 years, back at the top, competing, winning trophies in Scottish football.
That's your hope.
But if it doesn't happen, Scottish football will fall into a wilderness. I genuinely believe that. There is not enough income generated without Rangers and Celtic. And Celtic, a fine institution, great club, needs Rangers, and Rangers need Celtic. And anybody who says different is kidding themselves. They're looking at through either green glasses or blue glasses. And I'm trying to be impartial when I say that. The game needs Rangers to be stable, competing, and spending money in the community. Nobody complained when Rangers was going buying all the best Scottish players and giving the club £2 million, £1 million, and £2 million. They're happy to take, and now you want to get a kicking. You know, Rangers might just bounce back and surprise a few people.
So, David Murray, well, joining me in the Gherkin is Mike Hayes, tax expert at accountancy firm Kingston Smith. Mike, nice to see you. Thank you for coming in. For those of us who don't really understand employee benefit trusts, just explain to us what they are, how they work, and why HMRC is so annoyed by them.
Very simply, there are mechanisms set up by employers to provide benefits to employees, as the name would actually indicate.
Yep.
Generally, they're used in two ways. In one way, they're used to provide shares for employees, perhaps linked to a share option scheme, and generally those sort of arrangements are not offensive. Where the revenue have found them offensive is where they've been used to provide discretionary benefits to employees in the form of cars, houses, or, as in the case of Rangers, loans of money. And it's those situations that they've tried to attack.
David Murray's defence was that, look, we put all this in our report and accounts. For many years, HMRC didn't say anything, and then suddenly, bingo, the balloon has gone up.
Well, that's right. I mean, I think the problem is whether the scheme actually works technically. I mean, what they've done, has, as you said in your piece, has actually been stopped with effect from December 2010.
Right.
So you can no longer do that. But the point is that I think the revenue would appear to have some evidence that these payments to footballers were actually a reward for employment, and if they are contractual, they would be taxable and liable to national insurance.
So the issue here is discretionary. Were those payments discretionary?
I think that's the case, and it would appear that there are some emails that the revenue have between the club and certain footballers' agents that indicate that perhaps they weren't discretionary. Now, I don't know what those actually say, but that would appear to be the nub of the matter.
David Murray's other point was, look, you know, it's not just us, not just football clubs. All sorts of different firms, companies, institutions are using these. Is that correct? And if so, will the HMRC be having a very wide trawl?
Well, I think that's the case. I mean, although the number of businesses that use EBTs is a small minority, they have been used by other businesses. I can't confirm the numbers he quoted. And in my experience, although I don't deal with too many of them, they are being investigated quite vigorously by the revenue, and many of them are being taken to court. And it's not just Rangers, it's other people that are going to court.
What about the specific position of Rangers? HMRC is going after the club now for £49 million. I think it all began with £9 million and then it rolled up with various fines and interest, etc. It's going to go to court. If Rangers wins, having been pushed into administration by all this pressure from HMRC, if Rangers wins in court, does it suddenly become unsolvent, rather? Or should I say uninsolvent? Should it become solvent?
Well, I don't think it's as simple as that, because it will go to the first-tier tribunal first, and if Rangers win at that tribunal, the revenue have indicated that they will appeal it up to higher courts. And generally, the higher courts tend not to favour what they consider to be aggressive tax planning schemes, so a win at the first attempt does not necessarily mean that they're clear and free of this liability. So it could drag on for a number of years, and it could end up in the Supreme Court.
That was Craig White's point, that the tax authorities have endless resources and extreme patience, where, of course, Rangers on the brink of bankruptcy had neither.
That's fair comments. I mean...
Nonetheless, we have to, I think, give the club the benefit of the doubt. It could win. If it does win, even at the very highest court, well, especially in the very highest court, what happens to its solvency position? Because this horrible cloud is removed. It doesn't owe £49 million. Can it regain its financial credibility, its solvency?
I mean, that is really a question for an insolvency specialist, but I would imagine it would have some difficulty without actually moving the business through to another entity. I mean, there are other creditors to think about here. What will the bankers think? What will other parties think? And that could have implications.
Indeed, Mike Hayes, it's a right old mess, isn't it? Many thanks for coming in.
Okay, folks, we're going to finish up here with just a few links to a few different things like pages and stuff like that, our Facebook group. No SPL for liquidated Rangers. So you bang that in, it should come up. It's only one on there. CelticFootSoldiers.com. Join up, join the chat. We've got good guys on there, some good bloggers. Without mentioning any names, just go on there, and honestly, you'll be quite surprised who's actually on there. All the players that you've probably heard of, they're on the page, so on the group. I like to say it's called No SPL for a Liquidated Rangers FC. Just summing up now on, what I say, the last few days, I personally think it's time that Celtic came to the fore here. There's no Friends Act anymore between the two clubs, and Celtic have been shafted by them for years. So they should basically just be getting their lawyers on the case now, get in contact with FIFA and UEFA. I'll be sending an email to them myself later on the night. I'm hoping that other people in the group will be doing that as well. And anybody listening to the podcast, if you go on the group page, I'm going to probably post up the addresses tonight again. They're in there somewhere. If you have a wee scan about, you'll find them. I've also got a blog. For the life of me, I can't remember the address. I'll need to get it. You'll find it on the Facebook page actually. So if you're interested in a look at that, there's some good stuff on there. And basically that's it for now. I'm going to play out with a song. Like I always say, people keep up the fight. We will, in the end, we will have a definitive victory here, I think, before long. Before the end of this season, I can see them going out of business again. And they'll be gone forever. So we can all look forward to that. Anyway, God bless, hail, hail. And I'll see you very soon.